committee meeting. We will call it to order. And we need approval from minutes from the January 7th meeting.
Offer.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We've got a request from Retain again. Anna, you're gonna introduce our guest?
I will, absolutely. Here today to discuss the Retain initiative are from the Chamber of Commerce, Barb Egenhofer, the Director of Talent Strategy, and Andrea, I can't recall your title.
I am
Sorry.
a talent strategy program manager.
Talent Strategy Program Manager.
It's a mouthful, so you're fine.
Yes, yes. You'll recall that we, in MCIDC, launched Retain as a pilot program in 2022, and we were very excited to partner with Campus Rock through MCIDC and with added support from Comida last year to grow the program, not just grow its financial resources, but also the impact and the suite of services provided through the program. This is a talent retention initiative focused on keeping more people who attend college or university, including community college, in Monroe County and Greater Rochester, keeping them here in our workforce, providing them with resources such that they want to stay here and they feel welcome here. And I want to thank Barb and Andrew for being here.
Yes. Thank you.
And we have a presentation. Everybody should have a copy of this. So you guys can feel welcome to sit here at the table.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll come in.
Yeah. So this is a level ask for MCIDC this is a budgeted figure in the budget that we approved for 2025. The increase in scope for the program financially, that ask is going to go before your sister board, before Comida. So I just wanted to put that out there before we launch into the discussion. Thank you. Take it away.
Because you knew I was gonna ask that.
It's the money slide, right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what are you guys asking for? Yeah, so, what we have in the deck before you is really just like an overview of the program. I think, Anna did a great job like teeing it up what it's all about. We were super excited to take this on last year. So Andrea is our program manager of Campus Rock. Campus Rock is all about how do we retain those graduates in our region. And so everything she does is all about getting our students to fall in love with our community and think about Rochester as a place where they want to stay and start their careers and their lives. So as you know, a lot of our graduates leave and go elsewhere. So our whole goal is to convince them that there's no reason to do that. They can have everything they want here. So the Retain program is great because it really serves to do a couple of things. It's about like introducing them into the community, right? So they have this really positive experience. It's creating a network for them to connect together. So you'll see in the deck, there's a lot of like really special curated events, some that are just for fun, some that are specifically focused on learning and development. And just kind of helping them like through that process of navigating, their careers. So they're paired with a mentor. They come to these special events, they learn all sorts of things, we help connect them. And then at the end of the year, part of this program is they receive a cash incentive. If they've made it through the whole year, we'll have a graduation ceremony and they receive a cash amount of $4,000. So you can see that, a lot of the slides kind of tee up. I think some of the really interesting ones is a couple slides in, you'll see we've got 21 participants that made it through the program this year, and you can see the different types of titles that they have, everything from engineers to healthcare to planners and coordinators. We really focused on serving our community by retaining those that are in careers that we need the most, right? So
how do you recruit the cohort?
Yeah, so Andrea, do you want to answer that question? How you
absolutely.
recruited?
So in terms of recruitment, I really focused on reaching out actively to local colleges and universities are my first line of outreach. So colleges and universities have what's called a first destination survey. annually that they do, and that is a survey that goes out typically through their careers offices. And this also goes down to community colleges have this, and sometimes trade schools have this as well, depending on size and also capacity and bandwidth of employees, right? Because it takes time and effort, and some people are really, really overtaxed in their roles, and we want to be respectful of that. But we use their first destination survey, and this is a survey that they're already doing, and they're already sending out to their graduating class saying, where are you going and what are you doing, right? And they're using this for their outcomes already, and this goes into their statistics and their metrics, and it's how they recruit. So tacking onto that and saying, hey, this cohort you're already emailing out, here's a great already pre-built stock email that all you have to do is hit send on about Retain. Can you send this to that cohort and say, hey, if you have a job in Monroe County, look at this amazing program that we've developed. So that is where we probably got some of our biggest numbers from. Beyond that, we use Voice of Business through the Chamber, which goes out to all of our members. Social media is a huge point of outreach for this as well, both through our means and then targeted ads as well, so paid promotional ads that do some targeting. And we also are using a lot of networking through who we know, and then radio outreach as well. So we did connections with Evan Dawson. I was able to get on 98PXY. This year I'm hoping to have a much more diverse outreach and get into pretty much any radio station that'll have me. I'd love to get on and talk about this just to get a really wide array as well.
And then the process is an application and stuff like that,
Yes.
an interview and all
Yep,
that?
so the process of admittance is application, interview by me, and an intern that kind of helps with the process, and then admittance. So application, interview, narrow down, and then admitted to the program.
Sounds good.
And I should say online application, because it's a lot easier for me to manage and then a lot less paper.
And this is the first cohort,
This is our first cohort, yeah.
and the graduation is when again?
It's gonna be August,
August, okay.
yeah.
So there's 21 individuals that are in this, right?
Yes.
Have we retained all of them? I mean,
So we started with a cohort of 24, and we had one that had to leave because he relocated. His work relocated him to the southern tier. And one that had to leave due to not feeling comfortable committing to doing things outside of like her work hours. She had a lot going on.
right.
And one more that is no longer employed in her position. And so we have retained 21 out of the 24 we started with.
That's good.
Are
So the
there-
bulk of them, yes.
You mentioned, it's good to know about colleges and universities sending those emails out tracking, you know, where graduates are headed.
Yeah,
Are we getting on campus before decisions are being made about where the students are gonna end up accepting employment, so that maybe this program is a factor in their decision to stay here versus going somewhere else?
yes.
Okay.
So I've already done some chats in classes for on local colleges, and anytime I go out, and I go out a lot with Campus Rock on the local campuses, I talk about Retain as, you know, one of the services and things that we do and that the county brings to, you know, Rochester as a reason to stay here, because for me, it's such a great selling point for Campus Rock of like, why Rochester? And even like when I was at Rochester Museum and Science Center the other night they did a college night, a big part of when I go to those events is talking about why Rochester, why Greater Rock. Retain comes up at those events a lot. So yes, and then I already am in talks with all the local colleges and have things kind of queued up and launched and ready to go for this next cohort. So I am ready to go for if we are to get approved for a pretty much immediate launch of marketing and everything.
What does $100,000 cover?
What does the $100,000 cover? So we've got our slides that I'll share.
Yeah, so, on the budget, if we get down to it, sorry, there's not numbers on these for some reason, but it's like almost to the end of the deck, there's a retained annual expense overview. And you can see, right, we're only asking, I mean, the total ask here is $2,680, but, we're only asking 100 from this group, right? And as we said, the other, ask will come from your sister board. So you can kind of see exactly what this goes for, right? So first and foremost, the incentives themselves is the 4,000 per individual. And the reason that we've asked for an increased amount this year is because we want to grow the program. So we believe that with this ask, we can get it to 35 participants. So, significant growth over the 21 that we have right now.
What was it, 3,000 before?
It was the amount or what they were receiving?
Yeah.
They're receiving 4,000 this year as well. The original program was 2,000.
Okay.
And then when I made my pitch to you last year, we felt that we needed to up that amount to really get their attention. And especially now with the cost of housing and apartments in this area and inflation, we just felt like we needed to really get the attention. So we had suggested to double that, and it worked really well. So the 4,000 goes to each of them, and then you can see here we bring in professional development resources. So Andrea's been running programs like you'll see in the picture. She had a discover your brand, right, and help people through that. And we brought in professional to facilitate that. We have guest speakers. We do these hospitality events. So again, you'll see we rented an igloo down at the Rock Holiday Village this year. We were at Warbox to kick it off. So we do community events in service. So that covers the hospitality, the marketing, some great merchandise. You can see Andrea's brought her retained water bottle. We've got some really nice moleskin books. So they get some really nice swag that they're very proud of. We also integrated into this program a little bit of a wellness component. So we just wanted it to be a little bit more holistic. So if you join a gym or if you're taking classes, students or participants can get reimbursed for that as well. And then we also brought in a part-time intern just to help us manage this, because this is one of the many programs that Campus Rock and Andrea especially, like right now, I have to put a tracker on her because she's like on a different campus every day and every night. So we have somebody who is like kind of overseeing and doing that administrative work, so.
Any questions for Retain?
Is there any one college or university where we're seeing the greatest, strongest amount of demand? Could that be MCC? And then do you have any insight on the trade school piece of it? And if we are getting participation from trade school folks?
Yeah, so I would say my strongest partners right now, the three that are my top would be Nazareth, University of Rochester, and RIT.
Great.
Are definitely my three top partners in terms of, like, if I were to bring up, I could on my phone, but it's kind of clunky through my drive, but the list of where alums are from. Those are probably my top partners right now with Retain. This year, a big focus of mine is I do want to bring more trades into it. So I've actually made some pretty great connections with folks in the community that work in trade schools, because I do think in general that's an area, not just with Retain, but with Campus Rock, that I really want to further develop. And so that's a big marketing focus this year, to grow and further. And actually one of the participant that did relocate was in the trades. And so that was like, we did have trade representation in this. And so that was existent. It just was somebody who unfortunately got relocated to the southern tier because of their company had locations in both and needed to be there.
Okay.
So what happens at the end? Is there some type of ceremonial thing when this money is given, or is it just,
Yeah, so we're, So the actual funds will be, given to them through a check, right?
Right.
And we have the W-9s and all of that set up through our accounting department's phenomenal. Thank goodness, they've really got it set, and they are brilliant and very smart, which is, you know, the beauty, surround yourself with people smarter than yourself all the time. And I'm very happy and proud to be able to say I surround myself all the time with folks that are smarter than myself. And so they are wonderful assets with that side of things. But we are gonna do a event, our closing event. What I'm going to do later this summer, we are gonna do a get-together with all of our participants and their mentors. We are looking at doing a sort of like weeknight happy hour type event. We're actually looking at doing it at the Penthouse, and having a night that kind of honors the participants as well as their mentors for their time. Because the mentors that are doing this are volunteering their time, right? They're not paid to do this, and they're really helping these early career professionals in a generous way and helping them kind of grow through this really sort of ambiguous phase in their life. That those first few years out of school can be very ambiguous and not sure where you want to go. So that's what we're looking at doing, and that'll be sort of our graduation. And so we'd love to have county representation there as well.
Yes, we're definitely planning on, we'd love to invite the board and then
Exactly, yeah.
include the county executive
Yeah,
as well.
and so we don't have a set date for that one yet, and I'm working with Max Gordon on setting up date, time, and details on that for a little, because he owns the space we're gonna be using.
I think the other thing too, just about that as well, is, you know, so like a great graduation ceremony, but I believe really strongly, and I always have, is that when we put anyone into a leadership development program of any kind, there should be a little bit of a give back component. Mm-hmm. And that really comes in two phases. Like, one is the community service piece of this while they're participants, but the other one is if there's the right fit, we really want to tap into cohort number 1 to become potential mentors for cohort number 2, right? And just kind of keep the cycle going. So it's, yes, we're proud of you and congratulations that you graduated, but there's like a little bit of a, but now here's our ask, right? Like, please stay, please be engaged, so that this isn't just each cohort alone, but then year 2, we have both cohorts together, right? So it's really creating a community, because the more that people connect within their community, the more friends they have, right? The more they're doing things together, we know that they're less likely to leave, right? Because then they feel like grounded in their roots here, so.
Increases that level of agency that they all have to.
But you can leave once the program is over.
Yeah, of course, they can choose to leave.
Yeah.
But the goal here is that we'll have instilled a sense, at least, of one, agency and ability to further network and make those relationships and navigate those relationships as well, which is a really hard skill to have, to look for that next level of job, because what we know is people don't stay in that first job forever anymore, right? Kind of gone are those days where you stay in one job forever. And so they'll have those skills to do that, but they're also going to feel more connected to their community through these volunteer opportunities and through these getting involved and going to Rock Holiday at Rochester and different volunteer opportunities, and getting connected with Rochester city school districts, and seeing the community, that they are less likely to choose to leave.
Yeah, the hope is you keep them here a year after they graduate and they're less.
That was a strategy, we'll see. We'll have to see what happens, when you come back next year. To measure that. Are there any more questions for?
I'm not part of this committee, but can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Happy to talk about retain.
When you're talking about the kids that are in trade school and so forth,
Of course.
have you thought about going to the actual companies that are out there who are looking for, I mean, I hear that a lot, that these, you know, the machining companies and so forth are having a really hard time getting employees. So if you go to them, you might work out something where they participate with you to send people through a program.
Yeah, and we have great relationships with a lot of them as well. One of my colleagues works really closely with workforce development, in the community, and so that's definitely,
Yeah.
That was one
Very
question.
honored.
My other question is, when I look at your budget versus what you've spent, you're not spending your budget. You're way-
Yeah, well, the big chunk of our budget is the actual, right, it's the actual, like, payment,
I got that.
right? So that is a big piece of it,
and then
yeah.
family weekend is a huge chunk of our budget, which will be happening this summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So the family weekend which we'll be planning, is a big, big, big chunk of that hospitality budget.
so that was one of the ways that we were actually able to reduce the spend per participant. So last year, it was a little bit of a swag, right? It was our first year. So this year, you can see on that budget spreadsheet, I mean, we originally budgeted, about $9,000 per participant, and what we realized is we can probably, we can do these events. We can get free spaces sometimes, we can get volunteers to come in. So we were able to take it down to just over 7,000 per participant, which is giving us the ability to, grow the program to 35, yet not grow that incremental expense, right? So it's, we feel like we've done a good economies of scale and cut out the things that we don't need the money for.
But you're asking for more money.
We are, because we want to go from the 21 to 35. We want to have a greater impact this year. We're hoping to, it's been great to see this many go through. We originally wanted to have a greater cohort, but we were recruiting a little bit late. I think I was in front of you guys in June, maybe?
Yeah.
So we were a little bit under the gun,
Yeah.
right? Once we got the approval, we were really off to the races. But now being able to do this in April gives us an opportunity to get out more, be to more places, and then recruit a broader and more diverse group.
My last question is, why do you cap how much they can make at 85, is it, I think?
Yeah, that's the original, in the original design of the program that was created. Anna, you could probably speak to this better as to why they thought of 85. I mean, I believe it was because when you're making at a certain level, you're not gonna be so incented, right? It's hard to incent people. If you're making 100, you're not as incented to stick in a program that pays you 4, but if you're making 40 or 50, you're much more incented. And you can see our average salary range for this group it's on here somewhere, it's just around 50. So it's just a matter of we're really trying to incent those individuals that we feel are contributing and actually need it, right? It's not designed to be here's money and for fun. It's really designed to help contribute to, their income.
Yeah, Barb, you encapsulated that perfectly. I think, and as income data shifts annually, it's a great question because we should probably revisit the cap. I think part of the intent, as Barb pointed out, was that salaries in the greater Rochester region tend to be a little lower than they are in other metropolitan areas. Graduates are more flexible when they're not necessarily always factoring in cost of living when they're taking salaries into account, when they're looking at job offers in other markets. We want to give them an added incentive to choose to stay here. If, for example, if an RIT graduate gets a 6-figure offer on the West Coast versus a 5-figure offer here in Rochester, obviously $4,000 isn't going to tip the scales into the 6-figure range, but it's something. So that's part of the calculus there as well.
So if Phil doesn't have any more questions, we're gonna shut this down. And, we appreciate you, coming in.
I can come up with a couple.
We're gonna discuss this. Are there any last, questions for our guests? We will get in touch with you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You-
Do you
you'll
want
have
them to stay for the board meeting, or?
If you wanna do this again, I mean, what, are you gonna have another presentation? I think the executive committee
It's whatever
recommendation
we
should
want.
carry it, you know?
Yeah,
Me too.
so I think you guys are all set.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
circle back this afternoon.
Perfect.
We won't make you do the whole presentation all over again for the full board.
Okay, always happy to. Thank you all so much
Thank
for
you.
your consideration and your
Thank you.
time.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very
Likewise.
much for your time.
All right.
So, there's gonna be a motion, on the floor, to fund, retain, once again, for year 2025, 26? Was it 2025?
This is for 2020.
Year 2, which is 25 into 26.
Okay, year 2,
Yeah,
at 100,000.
How much do we budget for it?
we did budget $100,000.
$100,000 for it, so, that's the motion on the floor.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, all right. So, we'll bring this before the board, today, and, we'll vote on it again.
Thank you. And it's 11:59 a.m.